Unable to bear it, Kelechi wrenched free and spun around. The others shouted in horror, but it was too late. The instant Kelechi looked back, a horrific howl filled the clearing. A dark, shadowy figure erupted from the mist and wrapped itself around him. Kelechi screamed once, a sound that chilled the blood of every warrior, before his body dissolved into black smoke and vanished. Panic surged through the remaining 4 warriors. "Run!" Uchenna bellowed. They sprinted through the trees, their hearts pounding, the mist curling at their heels like reaching hands. The forest grew darker as the 4 remaining warriors trudged forward, their faces pale with fear. They were tired, hungry, and drenched in sweat, yet none dared complain. Only Uchenna, their leader, kept his head high, gripping his spear like it was the last piece of hope he had left. By dusk, their legs ached from endless walking. The men decided to stop briefly at a small clearing. From their satchels, they pulled out roasted yams wrapped in dried leaves. "Eat," Uchenna said firmly, though his own appetite had vanished. "We must gather strength. The forest feeds on weakness." They sat in silence, chewing slowly, every crack of a twig making them flinch. No one dared to speak more than a whisper, mindful of the rule. Do not speak unless necessary. The roasted yam was dry and tasteless, but it warmed their bellies and gave them the strength to continue. When they were done, it was already dark. They decided to spend the night there. Uchenna asked the remaining 3 warriors to sleep while he kept watch, staying awake throughout the night. At dawn, he woke them up. "We move," he ordered. The men nodded, gripping their weapons tightly as they plunged deeper into the mist-shrouded forest. Not long after, they came upon a strange sight. Another small clearing bathed in golden light. On the ground lay a pile of glittering treasures. Bracelets, cowrie-studded belts, and even gold ornaments, shining as if freshly polished. The warriors froze. "It's beautiful," whispered one of the younger warriors, Chima. His eyes widened, his breath quickening. "Remember the rules," Uchenna barked sharply. "Do not take anything that does not belong to you. This is a trap of the spirits." But Chima's face glistened with greed. "Maybe the gods placed this here for us," he said, his voice trembling with excitement. "With just one piece, my family will never go hungry again. No one will ever know." Uchenna stepped forward, his eyes fierce. "No! Do not let temptation destroy you. We are here on a mission to take home the king's grandchild, not to enrich ourselves." But Chima's hands were already reaching toward a gleaming golden bracelet. As soon as his fingers closed around it, the air in the clearing shifted. The ground trembled, and an eerie laughter echoed through the trees. "Chima, drop it!" Another warrior screamed, but it was too late. Vines and roots burst from the ground, wrapping around Chima's legs like living snakes. He screamed, thrashing wildly as he tried to free himself, but the more he struggled, the tighter they held. The golden light turned crimson, and a deep guttural voice filled the clearing. "Greed shall be fed." With a violent jerk, the vines dragged Chima into the earth. His scream was cut short as the ground swallowed him whole, leaving only the cursed bracelet behind. The 3 remaining warriors stumbled back in horror, their chests heaving. "Run!" Uchenna shouted, breaking the forest's suffocating silence. They fled through the mist, their footsteps pounding the earth as Chima's screams seemed to echo endlessly behind them. The mocking laughter of unseen spirits followed close on their heels. Meanwhile, back in the hut, the owl visited Adaora again. She was cradling her baby, rocking him gently immediately after breastfeeding, the usual forest sounds fading into an unnatural stillness. The tiny window of her hut glowed with a pale silvery light. She knew this light. It was a sign she had come to both fear and trust. The white owl, her mysterious protector, perched on the window ledge. Its glowing feathers shimmered softly. Adaora's heart surged with relief. It had been weeks since she last saw the owl, and though she believed its promise to always watch over her, she had longed to see it again. "Guardian," she whispered, bowing her head, "you have returned." The owl's golden eyes blinked slowly, filled with an ancient wisdom. Its voice, calm and deep, filled the heart. "Yes, Adaora, I have never left your side." The owl spread its wings lightly, the feathers glowing brighter. "It is time," it said with a solemnity. "Some warriors from Umudike are coming. They are on their way to this forest, searching for you and the child." Adaora gasped, holding her baby protectively. Her voice broke with fear. "No! Are they coming to harm us? To finish what they started when they cast me out?" The owl's voice softened, soothing her like a gentle stream. "No, Adaora. Do not be afraid. This journey is for a good cause. These men bring the will of the gods, though their path is dangerous and soaked in blood. Prepare yourself. Pack some fruits and what little you have. When they arrive, go with them without fear, for this is the path that will lead to your destiny and the destiny of your child." Adaora raised her gaze to the owl, nodding in understanding. The owl flapped its wings and soared into the night sky, disappearing into the mist. Adaora remained kneeling on the floor, clutching her baby tightly. She rocked her baby to sleep, after which she began to gather her few clothes, a small calabash of water, and some pawpaws wrapped in leaves. As for the warriors, as they moved deeper into the forest, a strange path appeared before them. Unlike the rough, wild terrain they had been traversing, this path was unnaturally smooth, glowing faintly under the mist. The air grew colder, and an eerie humming sound filled their ears. Suddenly, one warrior, Umudike, the youngest of the group, stiffened. His eyes darted left and right, panic rising in his chest. He could hear something the others couldn't. A soft, soothing voice whispering his name. "Umudike, this way. Come to me. There is a shortcut that will take you safely out of this cursed place." Umudike froze mid-step. The voice was gentle, almost motherly, tugging at his heart. It promised safety, glory, and escape from the horrors he had already witnessed. Uchenna noticed his hesitation and hissed sharply, "What are you doing? Keep moving!" "Do not stray from the group. Have you forgotten already?" But the voice grew louder, more insistent. "Umudike, if you stay with them, you will die. Come with me." Alone, Umudike's breath quickened. He turned to Uchenna, his face pale and wet with sweat. I think I see a way out," he stammered. We don't have to keep going this way. There's another path. Uchenna lunged forward and grabbed his arm. No, it's a trick. This is how the spirits lure us. Don't you dare leave my side. But Umudike wrenched free, wild fear in his eyes. I can't do this anymore, he screamed. I won't die like the others. Before Uchenna could stop him, Umudike bolted toward the glowing, misty path. The moment his foot left the group's trail, a deafening shriek erupted from the forest. The mist surged upward like a living creature wrapping around his body. Umudike screamed as he was yanked off his feet. The mist swallowed him whole, twisting and crushing until there was nothing left but silence. Uchenna and the last warrior stood frozen, their faces pale with terror. The forest seemed to close in around them, mocking laughter echoing from every direction. We must keep moving, Uchenna rasped, his voice shaking. The last warrior nodded silently, his grip on his spear so tight his knuckles turned white. Far ahead, through the thickening mist, the faint sound of running water reached their ears. The river near Adaora's hut. They were close. They walked towards the sound and saw the river and the hut by the riverbank. Air of relief washed over them, but just as they made to walk towards the huts, the fiery-eyed spirit Adaora had encountered appeared to them. Her form flickered like smoke, her face void of mouth or nose, with only those terrible burning eyes that lit up the forest like twin torches of doom. Uchenna's grip tightened on his spear. Steady yourself, he whispered to his companion. The woman tilted its head, its fiery eyes narrowing. Foolish mortals, she hissed. You dare to enter my realm, to steal what the gods have hidden here. Uchenna stood his ground, forcing his voice to remain calm. We mean no harm to you, Great One, he said, bowing slightly. His body shook, but he did not raise his head. Because our mission is just. A royal child was born here. A child whose destiny even the spirits cannot ignore. If that child is not united with his father, the land will fall into chaos. Obioma fell to his knees beside Uchenna, his voice breaking. Please, mighty one, we seek no harm, no treasure. We ask only to pass and return with the woman and her child. We swear never to return or disturb your realm again. The woman's gaze seemed to soften a little. Her voice, though still haunting, lost its sharp edge. You speak with humility. Few mortals have ever entered my domain and lived to tell of it. Go now, she commanded. Take the woman and her child. Leave my domain before dawn. If you ever return, you will not leave again. Thank you, mighty one, Uchenna whispered, his voice shaking with gratitude. He stood slowly, helping Obioma to his feet. Neither dared look directly at the spirit again. They gathered their spears and hurried toward the hut, their hearts pounding with hope and dread. And standing at its doorway, clutching a small bundle to her chest, was Adaora, even from a distance. Uchenna knew this was the woman whose survival meant life for their prince and hope for the kingdom. By the gods! Obioma breathed awe and exhaustion in his voice. We found her. They walked closer to the hut, dropped their spears to show they meant no harm. Uchenna spoke calmly, his voice steady but filled with reverence. We have come from Umudike on the orders of the king and the chief priest. The prince's life depends on you and the child you carry. Please, come with us. The gods themselves have guided our steps here." Adaura's lips trembled, but she did not step back. "I knew you were coming," she said softly, surprising them both. Her calmness filled the warriors with awe. This woman was no ordinary palace maid. She carried an air of destiny about her. "Please," Adaura continued, glancing toward the river, "you must be weary. Drink from the river and rest a while before we begin the journey back." The men obeyed eagerly, kneeling by the clear, cool water to drink deeply. The sweetness of it washed away some of the terror clinging to their souls. When they were ready to leave, Adaura picked up the small package she had put together. Obioma stepped forward respectfully. "Let me carry these for you," he said, bowing. Adaura handed the bundle over, clutching her baby tighter to her chest. Uchenna nodded. "Let us leave this place quickly. The spirit has given us safe passage, but we must not linger." They stepped onto the glowing path, and to the warriors' astonishment, the way out seemed smoother and shorter than the treacherous route they had taken in. The forest, which had been filled with eerie whispers and lurking shadows, was now silent, as though bowing in submission to a higher power. As the sun rose higher, they paused under a large tree where soft grass carpeted the ground. Adaura sank down carefully, her legs aching from the journey. She took a few bites of the pawpaw while the baby stirred and began to fuss. With a gentle smile, Adaura loosened her wrapper and nursed her child, humming a soft lullaby that floated through the still forest. The warriors turned away respectfully, standing guard while she fed the baby. When she was through, the journey continued. By late afternoon, they were walking steadily again. The mist had completely lifted, and golden sunlight began to filter through the trees. Adaura held her baby close, her steps slow but steady, while Obioma carried her small bundle and Uchenna led the way with his spear. As dusk painted the sky in hues of crimson and gold, they finally emerged from the forest's edge. Before them stretched the familiar fields that bordered Umoji. Adaura stopped, tears streaming silently down her face. She turned to look back one last time at the dark forest that had been both her prison and her shelter. Whispering a prayer of gratitude, she stepped forward into the open land, her child's future now tied to the fate of an entire kingdom. Uchenna raised his spear high and shouted, his voice breaking with triumph and grief. "We have returned!" A few villagers who sighted them as they emerged gasped in awe and disbelief. Many had thought no one would ever return, especially with a woman and child alive. Whispers spread like wildfire, and in minutes, a large crowd had gathered. "It's true!" one elder murmured, clutching his staff tightly. The chief priest was right. The child exists. Another villager crossed himself and whispered, "The gods have spared them." Uchenna, his clothes torn and face streaked with dirt and tears, raised his spear high. "We have fulfilled our mission," he shouted, his voice ringing across the field. "But 3 of our brothers did not return. Their blood has sealed our victory." The crowd fell silent in reverence. Even the wind seemed to pause, carrying the weight of his words. The family of the fallen heroes were thrown into mourning. Leading the way, Uchenna led Adaura and her baby to the palace. Inside the palace, King Ezudo and the queen waited anxiously. Words had already reached them before the warriors got to the palace with Adaora and the child. The chief priest, who was also in the palace, stood near the royal dais, his staff glowing faintly, eyes closed as if communing with unseen forces. The king's eyes widened, tears brimming as he took in the sight of the fragile child in Adaora's arms. The queen clutched her chest, overwhelmed not by anger, but by the sheer miracle before her. "The gods have done this," she whispered, her voice trembling. "This is beyond us all." King Ezudo walked slowly toward Adaora, his royal robe brushing against the polished floor. The hall grew silent, every eye fixed on him. When he reached her, his voice was steady but heavy with emotion. "Adaora," he began, his gaze softening. "When you were banished, it was not out of hatred or cruelty. It was the law of Umudike, a law I am sworn to uphold, even when it breaks the heart." He paused, his voice cracking slightly as he continued. "But today, I see that there are forces greater than our laws. The gods themselves have returned you and this child to us, proving that destiny can rise above tradition. For the pain you have endured, for the fear and loneliness you suffered in the evil forest, I am deeply sorry. No woman should bear what you have borne." The king slowly lowered his head in a rare show of humility. "Please, allow me to make things right." Adaora's eyes welled up with tears as she listened to the king's words. For a moment, her lips trembled and her grip on the baby tightened. She swallowed hard, then gave a small, shaky nod. "Your words have eased my heart, my king," she whispered softly. "May the gods guide us as we take this step." "Bring the child to the prince at once," the chief priest said in a gentle voice. In the prince's chamber, he pointed to a small bamboo bed, urging Adaora to place her baby there. Adaora stepped forward, her legs shaking but her resolve firm. She carefully placed the baby on the bed. Sacred herbs were burned, their smoke curling upward as ancient chants filled the hut. The chief priest made some incantations and gently lifted the baby, placing his hand on Prince Obina's chest. The moment the baby's tiny hand touched Obina's chest, a ripple of energy surged through the room. The prince's breathing, once shallow and erratic, steadied. Color returned to his cheeks. Slowly, his eyes fluttered open. "Adaora," he whispered weakly. Adaora moved to his bedside and helped him up to a sitting position. He wrapped his arm round her in a warm embrace, tears filling his eyes. Adaora carried the baby and gently placed him on Obina's hands. "Behold our son," she said amid tears. The queen collapsed to her knees, overcome by relief. "The curse is broken," she cried. "Umudike is saved." The hall erupted into joyous cries as the people praised the gods for their mercy. When the celebrations calmed, King Ezudo rose, his voice solemn. "Tonight we rejoice, but we must also remember those who paid the ultimate price." He gestured to Uchenna and Obioma. "These two brave men have returned with their lives, but 3 others fell to the darkness of the forest." "Eyang?" The crowd bowed their heads in silence. The king continued, "Their courage shall not be forgotten. Their families will be richly compensated and honored for generations to come." As for Uchenna and Obioma, their bravery has brought hope to this kingdom. From this day, they will hold places of honor in my court, and lands shall be granted to them as reward for their sacrifice. Uchenna and Obioma knelt, tears streaming down their faces. As the night deepened, Adaora sat beside Obina's bed, cradling their child. The prince, though still weak, smiled at them both, his hand resting on hers. Uchenna and Obioma stood guard near the doorway, while the chief priest spoke quietly with the king. The child's birth is no ordinary event, the priest warned. He is destined for greatness. The king nodded gravely, understanding the weight of the prophecy. As days passed, Prince Obina's strength returned. The palace, once filled with mourning and fear, now echoed with songs of joy and thanksgiving. But even as his body healed, his heart longed for one thing more than all others: Adaora. One quiet evening, with the royal family gathered, Obina rose to his feet, his voice firm and unwavering. "Father, mother, and elders of Umoji," he began, "Adaora is not just the mother of my child. She is my heart, my destiny. I wish to marry her and make her my queen." The hall fell silent. The queen's eyes widened, and murmurs rippled among the elders. Finally, the queen mother spoke, her tone sharp but controlled. "Obina, think carefully. She was once a palace maid, a slave from a distant land captured in war. How can she sit on the throne of Umoji?" But before Obina could speak, King Ezudo's deep voice cut through the tension. "Enough, my queen." He turned to her, his eyes firm. "You cannot fight destiny. The gods themselves returned Adaora and the child to us. Even the evil forest could not claim her. If destiny has chosen her, who are we to resist?" The queen fell silent, her lips trembling with unspoken words. That night, the queen sought a private audience with the king, the prince, and Adaora. Her eyes glistened with tears as she finally confessed the truth she had hidden for years. "When I was pregnant with Obina," she began softly, "I had a dream, a vision, so vivid it felt real. In it, the gods showed me my son standing beside a woman, a slave, wearing the royal crown. From that day, I fear this prophecy." Her voice cracked, shame filling every word. "When Obina fell in love with Adaora, I knew she was the woman from my dream. So I insisted on her banishment, not just from the kingdom, but into the evil forest. I believed no one could survive there, I thought. If she died, I could protect my son and the throne from that fate." Tears streamed down her face as she fell to her knees before Adaora and Obina. But I was wrong. The more I tried to fight destiny, the more I played into the gods' plan. Adaora, forgive me. Obina, forgive me. I see now that nothing can alter what the gods have decreed. Adaora, moved by her sincerity, knelt and gently lifted the queen to her feet. "The past is gone, mother," Adaora said softly. "Let us walk forward as one family." 1 week later, the entire kingdom gathered for the baby's grand naming ceremony. The chief priest led the ritual, raising the baby high for all to see. People of Umoji, today we celebrate a miracle. This child, born in the darkest of places, has returned to us through the will of the gods. No man, no law, no spirit could alter his path. The baby was named Chidera, meaning what the gods have written. Tears streamed down Adaora's face as she whispered the name to her baby. My precious one, you are Chidera, the proof that destiny cannot be broken. Obinna lifted his voice above the crowd. From this day forward, let all know that my son lives not just for me, but for the future of this land. The celebration continued with dancing, feasting, and prayers of gratitude. Few weeks after the naming ceremony, Obinna and Adaora had their glorious traditional marriage. Adaora, dressed in flowing matching traditional royal attire with Prince Obinna, as the people celebrated their union. For the first time in the history of Umudike, a former slave became queen. During the ceremony, King Izuido stood and made a historic decree. From this day forward, slavery is abolished in Umudike. Those captured in past wars, including Adaora's people, are free. Never again shall a human soul be bound in chains within this kingdom. The people cheered, and tears of gratitude filled the eyes of former slaves as they embraced their newfound freedom. Years passed, and Adaora and Obinna's love only deepened. They had more children, filling the palace with laughter and joy. When King Izuido eventually passed away, Obinna ascended the throne, with Adaora standing proudly by his side as queen. Under their rule, Umudike flourished. The kingdom became a land of unity and peace, where past divisions were healed. Chidera, the child born in the evil forest, grew to become a wise and just leader, fulfilling the prophecy foretold at his birth. On a golden evening years later, Adaora stood outside the throne hut, watching her children play. Obinna came beside her, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. Everything we endured, he said softly, was to bring us here. Adaora smiled, her heart full. Together, they gazed over the thriving kingdom, a kingdom built on love, courage, and a destiny no law could ever defy. Dear viewers, Adaora's journey from slave to queen shows us that destiny can never be stopped. From the shadows of the evil forest to the glory of the throne, her story proves that love and courage can rewrite the future. Thank you for watching this epic tale. Stay tuned for more breathtaking stories from the heart of Africa.